August the 3rd, 1944, near Avranches, Normandy. The night air vibrates with engines, tanks idling, trucks coughing, men shouting over the din. Somewhere in the darkness, rain taps against steel hulls, mixing with the sharp smell of gasoline and wet earth. Lieutenant Colonel Charles L. Eubanks stands beside a map spread across the hood of a jeep, his boots already caked with Norman mud. He rubs his eyes, not from sleep, but from the numbers that refuse to make sense. Ahead of him, the U.S. Third Army is finally loose. For weeks, Allied forces have been trapped in the hedgerows of Normandy. Narrow lanes, thick bocage, fields turned into killing grounds. Every advance has been measured in yards, paid for in blood. But now, after Operation Cobra has smashed a hole in the German lines near St. Lo, the American Army has something it hasn't had since D-Day: open road. General George S. Patton Jr. wastes no time. His tanks surge forward, roaring south and east, chasing a collapsing enemy. Columns stretch for miles. Shermans, half-tracks, artillery, jeeps, an armored tide pouring through the gap at Avranches. Patton stands in his command car, ivory-handled pistols on his hips, watching the breakout unfold like a personal vindication. But speed has a price. By August 4th, the warning signs begin to flicker. Tank commanders report fuel gauges dropping faster than expected. Ammunition trucks lag behind. Rations arrive late, or not at all. The advance is moving too fast for the supply system built for a slow, grinding war. And that is where Eubanks comes in. Lieutenant Colonel Charles L. Eubanks is not a household name. He does not command divisions or lead charges. No war correspondent follows him into battle. He is a supply officer, a logistician, one of the men Patton himself would later call the backbone of the Army. Even if few ever noticed, Eubanks understands the problem immediately. The Allied supply lines still begin at the Normandy beaches, Utah, Omaha, nearly 200 miles behind the front. Railroads are shattered by bombing. French ports are unusable. The German retreat is faster than Allied planners ever imagined, and the logistical blueprint drawn months earlier is already obsolete. Every mile Patton advances stretches the supply line thinner. On August 6th, a message reaches Eubanks's desk. Fuel deliveries to forward units are down by nearly 40%. Some armored battalions are siphoning gas from knocked-out vehicles just to keep moving. Others are halting altogether, engines silent, crews waiting by the roadside. Patton's nightmare is coming true. Not enemy resistance, but stillness. That same afternoon, Eubanks rides forward to see it himself. Near Mortain, he watches a column of Shermans pulled off the road. Crews sitting on turrets, helmets off, smoking in grim silence. One sergeant shrugs when asked how long they've been stopped. Since dawn, sir. No gas. The sound of battle is distant now. Too distant. Eubanks knows the enemy is still reeling. German units are disorganized, low on fuel themselves, retreating in confusion. If the Third Army pauses now, the window closes. The war in France could bog down all over again. Back at headquarters, the atmosphere is tense. Phones ring constantly. Officers argue over tonnage figures and truck availability. Maps are redrawn again and again. The math is unforgiving. The Third Army needs thousands of tons of fuel, ammunition, food, and spare parts every single day. And it needs them immediately. Eubanks listens more than he speaks. He knows there are trucks, thousands of them. The U.S. Army has shipped vast numbers of 2.5-ton GMC cargo trucks to France. They sit idle, waiting for assignments, drivers smoking cigarettes beside them. The problem isn't vehicles, it's movement. The roads are clogged. Supply convoys fight their way through two-way traffic. Refugees? Broken down vehicles. Military police checkpoints. Drivers get lost. Deliveries take days when they should take hours. Late that night, Eubanks studies a report from another theater. An old concept, used briefly and imperfectly during earlier campaigns. A dedicated, one-way truck route. No stops, no delays, no confusion. a conveyor belt made of asphalt. By August 7th, Eubanks presents his idea to higher headquarters. It is bold, risky, and completely outside normal doctrine. He proposes a nonstop truck convoy system, dedicated routes reserved almost entirely for supply vehicles, running day and night. One road going forward, another coming back. Military police at every intersection. No civilian traffic. No wandering units. Drivers would operate in shifts, sleeping when they could. Trucks would move whether it rained or not. Headlights glowing through the dark like a steel river. Someone at the table scoffs. "You'll burn out the men." Eubanks doesn't flinch. "Sir, if we don't move fuel, the army stops anyway." Word of the proposal reaches Patton. The general reads it once, then twice. He slams his riding crop against the table. "Do it," he snaps, "and do it now." By the morning of August 8th, orders go out. Military police begin painting red circles on road signs. Crude, hand-painted markers pointing east. Drivers are told to follow the red balls and never deviate. The system has a name now, the Red Ball Express. As engines roar to life and the first convoys roll out under the cover of darkness, Eubanks watches from the roadside. He knows this is a gamble, an experiment running against time itself. If it fails, Patton's army grinds to a halt. If it works, the war in France may never be the same. August 9th, 1944. Near Saint-Lô, Normandy, dawn breaks over the Norman countryside, but the roads never truly slept. The first Red Ball Express convoy is already hours into its run. A long, snaking line of olive-drab GMC trucks grinding eastward. Engines whining under impossible loads. Canvas flaps ripple in the wind. Headlights are still on, cutting through lingering fog as if night has refused to let go. At the wheel of one truck sits Private First Class James Red Watkins, 19 years old. From Ohio, his knuckles are white, his eyes gritty from lack of sleep. He's been driving for nearly 8 hours straight, following a simple rule drilled into him only yesterday. Follow the red balls. Don't stop. Don't ask questions. Military police stand at every crossroads, arms raised, forcing all other traffic aside. Infantry units press themselves against hedgerows as the convoy roars past. Refugees stare in disbelief. This road belongs to logistics now. Lieutenant Colonel Charles L. Eubanks moves along the route in a jeep, stopping briefly at checkpoints, scanning faces, listening to engines. He hears the same complaints everywhere. Bad brakes, overloaded axles, men who haven't slept. He writes none of it down. There's no time. The Red Ball Express is improvisation elevated to doctrine. The trucks are loaded far beyond rated capacity. Gasoline drums stacked like cordwood. Ammunition crates rattling with every pothole. Some drivers sit on wooden crates to see over the steering wheel. Many have never driven at night before France. Most of them are African-American soldiers, men assigned to segregated transportation units, rarely mentioned in official briefings, now carrying the weight of an entire army on their axles. They drive anyway. By midday, the first loads reach forward depots near Le Mans. Fuel is pumped directly into waiting tanks. Ammunition is handed over without paperwork. No signatures, no receipts, just speed. A Sherman commander watches the fuel hose gurgle into his tank and laughs out loud. "Hell," he says. "I thought we were dead in the water." The Third Army moves again. Patton's armored columns surge forward as if released from a leash. French villages fall behind in a blur of church spires and cheering civilians. German rearguards are brushed aside before they can organize. Prisoners stumble back west, confused and hungry. But behind the scenes, the Red Ball Express is already straining. By August 12th, the system has expanded dramatically. Over 6,000 trucks committed, running nearly 24 hours a day. Routes stretch from the Normandy beaches all the way to forward dumps deep in central France. Drivers sleep in ditches, under trucks, wherever exhaustion overtakes them. Breakdowns are constant. Tires shred on rubble-strewn roads. Engines overheat. Trucks overturn on narrow curves. Wrecks are pushed into ditches and left behind. A graveyard of twisted steel marking the route. Eubanks receives reports by the hour. Lost vehicles, injured drivers, delays measured in minutes that feel like disasters. At headquarters, staff officers argue about regulations. Someone suggests slowing the convoys to reduce accidents. Eubanks refuses. If they slow down, he says quietly. The army slows down. On August 14th, German resistance stiffens near Argentan. Enemy artillery opens up on roads feeding the front. Red Ball trucks come under fire for the first time. Shells bursting nearby. Shrapnel punching through canvas sides. One driver is killed at the wheel. His truck coasts into a ditch. Engine still running. The convoy behind him doesn't stop. Drivers are ordered to maintain spacing, to keep moving even under fire. Military police redirect traffic around bomb craters with hand signals and shouted orders. The road flexes, adapts, survives. Patton notices, in a rare moment of restraint, he writes in his diary about the miracle keeping his army alive. He knows tanks don't run on courage alone. He knows that every mile gained is measured in gallons. By August 16th, the numbers are staggering. The Red Ball Express is delivering more than 12,000 tons of supplies per day. Fuel alone accounts for nearly half of it. Entire armored divisions are sustained almost entirely by trucks that never stop moving. Eubanks visits a forward refueling point that evening. He watches as tank after tank pulls in, fills up, and roars off again toward the Seine. The rhythm is relentless. Engines, hoses, shouted instructions, dust hanging in the air like smoke. A young lieutenant salutes him awkwardly. "Sir," he says, "I don't know how you pulled this off." Eubanks doesn't answer right away. He looks down the road, where headlights stretch into the distance, an unbroken chain. "It's not me," he finally says. "It's the road." But he knows better. The Red Ball Express is a fragile thing, held together by exhaustion, discipline, and the understanding that stopping means failure. German forces are retreating fast, but they are not defeated. One coordinated counterattack, one severed route, and the entire system could collapse. As Patton spearheads race toward Paris, the question hangs over every mile of road. Can the Red Ball keep up? August 18th, 1944, near Chartres, France. The sun rises blood-red through a haze of dust and exhaust. The road east of Chartres is scarred now. Ruts carved deep by thousands of overloaded trucks, shoulders crushed into mud. The Red Ball Express still moves, but it groans like a machine pushed beyond design. Private First Class Watkins hasn't slept in nearly 30 hours. His truck rattles violently as he shifts gears, the smell of hot oil seeping into the cab. Somewhere behind him, a tire blows out with a crack like rifle fire. The convoy slows just enough to swerve around the crippled vehicle, then surges forward again. No one stops. No one looks back. This is the price of speed. Lieutenant Colonel Charles L. Eubanks reads casualty and accident reports in silence. Broken arms, concussions, burned hands from ruptured fuel drums. The dead are listed in short, efficient lines, drivers who nodded off, trucks that jackknifed, vehicles hit by stray artillery or Luftwaffe fighter bombers making desperate, low-level attacks. There is no ceremony for logistics. The Red Ball Express operates outside the comfort of doctrine, and everyone knows it. Regulations about rest hours, maintenance cycles, load limits, all suspended by necessity. Eubanks fights a constant battle against well-meaning officers who want to reimpose order. "Order," he replies. Tapping the map is movement. On August 19th, Patton's armored spearheads reach the outskirts of the Falaise pocket. German forces, battered and disorganized, attempt to withdraw eastward. Roads choke with retreating units, horse-drawn wagons, and abandoned vehicles. Allied aircraft pound the columns relentlessly. The Red Ball routes cut dangerously close to the chaos. Military police struggle to keep supply roads clear as German prisoners and fleeing civilians spill onto the highways. At one intersection, an MP fires his pistol into the air to force a stalled convoy forward under air raid sirens. Eubanks arrives minutes later, stepping around the crater left by a near miss. He studies the intersection, then orders the route shifted, a small change, made on the spot, that keeps fuel flowing for another day. By now, the Red Ball Express is delivering staggering quantities, more than 400,000 tons of supplies over its operation. Fuel drums are stacked in open fields, guarded by tired soldiers who barely understand how close they came to running dry. Patton understands. On August 22nd, the Third Army pauses, not from lack of fuel, but because its advance has outrun even the Red Ball Express. The trucks are driving nearly 300 miles round trip. Engines are wearing out faster than replacements can arrive. Tires are scavenged from wrecks. Mechanics work by lantern light, hands black with grease. For the first time since the breakout, Eubanks allows himself a moment of doubt. At headquarters, maps show new objectives. The Moselle River, Metz, the German border itself. The war is no longer a pursuit. It is becoming a siege. The Red Ball Express was never meant to be permanent. Eubanks meets with senior logisticians on August 24th. Rail lines are being repaired. The port of Cherbourg is slowly coming back online. New supply systems are planned. Slower, heavier, more sustainable. The Red Ball will be phased out. That night, Eubanks walks alone along a stretch of road lit by truck headlights. The convoys still roll, but fewer now. The pace is easing. Just slightly, men joke again. Someone hums over the engine noise. He stops beside a truck pulled off the shoulder, its engine ticking as it cools. The driver, an African-American sergeant with grease-stained hands, nods respectfully. "Sir?" The man says, "They say this thing's about done." Eubanks nods. "You kept it running long enough." The sergeant smiles faintly. "Guess we did." By August 25th, Paris is liberated. Crowds flood the streets. Photographers capture tanks rolling past the Eiffel Tower. History records the moment in bold. Triumphant strokes. No one photographs the trucks. The Red Ball Express officially winds down in early September. Railroads take over. Pipelines are planned. The war moves into a new phase, slower, harder, more deliberate. Lieutenant Colonel Charles L. Eubanks receives no parade. No medal ceremony follows him home. His name appears in reports, footnotes, logistics summaries. But the record is clear. Without the Red Ball Express, Patton's Third Army would have stalled in August 1944. Not defeated, but immobilized. The German army would have regrouped. The war in France would have dragged on. Bloodier and longer, Eubanks packs away his maps, his penciled routes, his red-circled signs. The road that never slept has done its job, and history, for the most part, moves on without noticing.